Here with Kathrin and Kim, all the way from Australia, and they're going to be talking to us about their projects and paintings and what life is like where they live. Go ahead, take it away.
Fab. So I guess for context, for anyone watching, Kathrin and I are old friends. We go back a long time, and I think we first met in the Archibald Prize, which is a major portrait prize here in Australia. And yeah, I guess we'll dive straight into it.
And
Kathrin.
we were meant to actually catch up this morning. It sort of didn't happen. So we're doing like the whole two-screen interview. But yeah, good to see you. I saw you last Friday. That was fun. We both participated in a big arts charity gala to raise funds for domestic violence prevention. Of course, that's close to both of our hearts. And I think that's what both you and I have in common, Kim. We both work, when it comes to painting, both of us have, we paint for a cause. And the message that both of us are trying to convey is sort of very similar. Can you tell us a little bit more about your subject matter and what is close to your heart? Why are you painting what you're painting?
Yeah, so I really focus solely on painting the queer community because I think that queer people are obviously very underrepresented on the walls of our major cultural institutions and within the art world, especially trans, non-binary, and female queer artists. So it's and artists of color within the queer community. So I think it's about profiling people that I care about, people who are really active in the community and fighting for equal rights, or people that are just sort of spearheading the way and being their most fabulous selves. And I try and represent them. The one behind me just here is my best friend, actually, Jess, who's coming out with a new amazing art project. And just here, this one's actually available through 33 Contemporary right now, through Posters, but it's of Courtney Act, who's a fabulous drag queen and an amazing human being and activist. And I just, I think it's really important to kind of capture their spirit and blend abstraction with realism to convey the complexities and layers of queer identities. And yeah, it's been a lifelong pursuit. I've been doing it for like 15 years, I think, dedicated to this imagery. And I do veer out of that sometimes and explore other things, but it always comes back to that meaningful cause. And you similarly have a really fabulous concept that I think people would love to hear about. And what sort of inspired you to pick up a paintbrush and create the imagery that you do?
I think that's another thing we have in common, and I think that's why we get along so well. Like we both come from a corporate background. We both have had another career in in our past life, and and just like you, I painted from like since I could hold a brush. So I remember my grandparents giving me paints and pencils, when I was like, I could barely hold them. And but it's always been like, can I make a living from it? And it wasn't until 20 years ago that I gave up a corporate career. I'm giving my age away a little bit here. But it was just the best thing I could ever have done. Obviously, like in the beginning, it was pretty tough because, as you, like I had to have a second job to keep the art career moving. And it hasn't been until pretty much last 10 years where I've been doing it like 100% focused. So
what made you take that leap of going from having, the full-time steady income and second job to taking the push and actually being like, you know what, I'm just going to give this a red hot go?
I think I think like with anything, if you don't give it 100%, you're not ever gonna get where you want to go. And it was probably the best thing I've ever done, like giving up the second job. I don't know how you felt. I mean, I sat and cried for a week and went like, oh no, and then, but that freedom then to give it a go and give it everything you've got, and taking that risk is just so rewarding. It's so rewarding. It's like, how did you feel when you gave up your job?
I was terrified. I was terrified. I've been talking to Kathrin about it for Kathrin has been like shaking me for probably 7 years, being like, you just need to do it. You just need to take the leap. And I'm just such a Capricorn. I like a plan. I like to be organized. I like finances to be sorted. But you're absolutely right. And all of our other art friends.
I'm a Capricorn too.
Yeah. Oh, see, this is why we get along so well. But yeah, it was terrifying, but it got to a point where I was like, okay, I don't have time to do both anymore. Something's got to give, and I've just got to take that leap. It's going to be really scary, but I always know that I have that career I could fall back on if I needed to. So why not give this a try?
Yeah.
And then literally as soon as I did, it was straight into an exhibit. So I was paying 16 hours a day. And then after that, all of these opportunities just started coming up because I think I just had more free time to look into things that were possible. And maybe, who knows, maybe the universe was sending it my way. I don't know. But it's been really exciting. And now it's been a year and 27 days since I took that leap.
Amazing. Hey, listen, for anyone in our situation or who's just on the cusp of taking the art further, for me, there were like 3 things that I needed to have that I really felt were important to me in order to do it. I want to hear about yours. So for me, it was, first of all, having that really strong vision or goal in your mind, where you want it to be as an artist, what sort of artist you want it to be, whether you want it to be represented in prizes or be represented by galleries. But also, secondly, having an artist peer support, like having people in the industry that back you, that support you. And I found that by joining different art societies, by going to exhibition openings, meeting other artists. That was super important to me. But for me, thirdly, was having my family being totally behind me and going like, every time I'm having doubts, they're like pushing me along and going, no, you can't give up. You can't go back. You can't give up on your dreams. So they're the 3 things that really made a huge difference to me. What has it been for you when you took that step out?
Yeah, I think the thing that I have to keep reminding myself, especially because I've been painting queer people and similar subject matter for such a long time, the thing I'm grappling with right now is, now that I've taken that step, I have to remind myself to put myself out there and take big risks and try new things, and don't let myself be restricted by the medium of painting. Because I also, I studied printmaking and ceramics. That's what my degree is in. I didn't even study painting at first, and installation work. And I'm just starting to have all of these creative ideas, but feeling fearful of taking that risk and doing something that I'm not known for. Now that it is my livelihood and main income, it almost makes more sense to do that when you have a second job to fall back on. But I'm just reminding myself and the people surrounding me. I have so many creative people in my life, like not only amongst the incredible artists that we have in our network here in Australia, but close friends who work in the music industry and who work in dance and film and television, and just reminding yourself that there's so many avenues that this can go down, and find people that you trust to give you honest critique and feedback, and people that you trust to push you forward when you get a bit complacent. and to back you when you want to do something that you're really excited about, but you're afraid. I think that's super important. And we certainly have that relationship, you and I, and we're lucky enough to have other people around us that do that for us as well. It's really incredible, I think, to be surrounded by that community. And we got to support each other by going to each other's openings, by attending galas that one of us has organized, and that one of us being Kathrin. She was downplaying it. She did an incredible job bringing amazing artists, like award-winning artists, together on the night, and the nonprofit raised over $150,000, which is incredible. So just a little shout out to you. I think that's important. And I think that very much draws into you.
And I love when sort of different parts of the community come together to do stuff together. And I know there'll be so many good things coming out of Friday night, the kind of connections that have been made, the kind of people that were in the room, what they I've already heard about, people that were going to give like continued support to the charity, but also for the artists, what's coming, because I always wanted to be a win-win situation. And so some of these people, it might have been their first time that were exposed to the artists, and all of a sudden, I've already heard some people saying they were going to go to Louis' exhibition in Melbourne, and I think the sculpture that he had in the show is going to go into a big new development. It was purchased by a property developer and stuff like that. It's just fabulous how everything, when you sort of feel like when you're on the right path, when you're doing stuff that's good for the greater good, everything, there's so many ripple effects that affect so many different people. I love that.
Yeah.
So what's next for you then? What's on the cards? What exciting things are you working on?
So many exciting things. I've got a fair few things coming up, some that I can't talk about, but one that I can talk about that I'm really excited for is a 75 meter mural in Surrey Hills. And I can't say exactly where, but it's a gigantic mural. I'm working with 2 queer Aboriginal artists, as well as an ally artist, and we're creating a sort of contemporary take rather than a literal take on the history of queer culture in Australia and in that area as well, specifically because it's an area of Sydney that has a very rich history for the queer community and really significant milestones throughout. So it's been a very long process. Like I think we've been working on it for a year, and we should start actually painting it in February, which is so exciting. I've got commissions up the wazoo, so I'm working on those, slowly chipping away. And yeah, just looking out for really incredible opportunities to try new things. And I'm applying for grants to do a desert trip around Australia, for Western Australia and the NT, and doing a queer desert cowboy landscape show, which should be very interesting. What about you? I know you've got a lot going on. Which ones can you share? And you've been doing a lot in the last 3 weeks as well.
No, nothing is really secret. I've got way too many shows booked in. I had, I think I was freaking out last year a little bit because we're undertaking major renovations to our house, and I'm having panic attacks about how I'm going to squeeze all the work in, because I've taken on 3 solo shows within like less than a year, which is insane. I've never done anything like it. It's absolutely bonkers. So at the moment, yes, it is crazy. so at the moment, that's why I'm like constantly walking around like a zombie. I don't have a life. I'm working every weekend, and but you just have to push through it. And then next year, I'm planning to take it a bit more easy. I'm having some really fabulous group shows booked in. I'm currently showing at the Shrine of Remembrance in Melbourne as part of like an exhibition on children of war, because my story is sort of being a child of the Cold War. So I've got a couple of paintings in it, as well as artifacts from my childhood. And then next year, I'm taking the refugee exhibition that's been exhibited at the Canberra Museum is moving to the Maitland Museum, which I'm so looking forward to, because it's such an important topic, important subject matter, and it's so good to have that moving to public institutions that are supporting it. And then I'm back in Denmark in June with the beautiful Kirk Gallery.
Next year, hopefully, you'll have a lot of new work for me as well.
Absolutely.
So it was really
Yes.
nice seeing both of you today.